Good evening, and welcome to another analytical episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your anal retentive and anachronistic host, Voice of Doom. Alright. Figured I'd do another diatribe. And as usual, I'm not in a condition to do anything coherent. But I will try to give you my impressions and my commentary on the latest things that have gone on. And things are very interesting. And the world is changing fast. And I mean, by the end of January, we might be in a whole different situation. Because things are happening very fast. Geopolitically, on the international front, and on the national front, and on the microcosm of everybody who's struggling. So, I watch YouTube all the time, and I will tell you what I think about certain things. Now, the main thing that caught my eye in the last day or two, these Wokester idiot, moron, idiot fools who are out on the street trying to impede, trying to get rid of bad people, have taken it to a level of where, I mean, nobody's going to analyze it, nobody's going to think about it. Mainstream media, and I include even the right-wing mainstreamers, don't want to pay attention to the details. But if you watch YouTube all day, which I do, you see a lot of independent reporting. Because everybody's got their stupid-ass phones in their hands, and they can record what's going on. And people can interpret that the way they want. But certain things have happened that have been the result of independent, journalism, which isn't all that brilliant. It's just doing something like, let's go see if I can put my kid in a daycare and blah, 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 shut the door on you, and all of a sudden you peel away a, layer of the onion where people can see how bad things are. Where America, because we're so rich, such a great country, that we should just squander the trillions of dollars that we've amassed through taking this country from coast to coast and using the resources of this country to create a great economic engine. We have too much money because we're Americans, so let's just let it all get ripped off by the third world. And we've seen it happen. I don't have to go into detail. It's all obvious. They want equilibrium on this planet before they get rid of 6 billion people, so that everybody feels like they got their fair share. Okay. But the one thing that kind of caught my eye, I don't know who did it, they got some footage, but you have a lot of people on the street that are protesting or are demonstrating for their particular point of view. And in the recent past, I'm saying like the last 2 or 3 days, there's been a major uprising in Iran because these idiots, the kids and grandkids of the idiots that decided it was better to have a Islamic regime rather than the Shah of Iran, protested. And they got in the street and they made the Shah's life at risk. So he fled, and this robed, turbaned idiot, moron, one of Satan's main henchmen get off the plane and take over Iran. That was 47 years ago. Okay, that was a debacle of the highest order, and we let it happen. Now, the Shah was no angel. He was not Winston Churchill. He had his secret police, and they made life miserable in Iran in order to quell any kind of uprising which may happen. And then the students got together and went to the street and said, "Death to the Shah, death to America, and let's get this robed idiot Ayatollah Khomeini in." Anybody could see his face and go, "This guy's bad news." And I'm sure the powers that be knew that he was bad news, but that was part of their plan because they didn't want any kind of peace. They wanted war so they could keep making money. It's very obvious. But what I do remember, and I was around for those days, and I was an adult. I wasn't 5 years old when the Ayatollah came off that plane and everybody could see in his face that this was bad. And what happened is that the Iranians tried to put forward some sort of a legitimate front with their suits and their Ghostbadeh and their whoever else was the president, and all those people were purged because it was going to be an ultimate revolution to the 14th century Islamic ideology. So all these suits were going to be executed, and they were. Now, what caught my eye was when I saw Wokester idiot, moron, absolute brain-dead idiots that are digging their own graves out on the street protesting against Iranian freedom fighters who wanted to get rid of the Islamic regime. Now, come on. It's getting to the point where Fellini would say this isn't a movie that can be made because it's too ridiculous. And I realize why these Wokester numbskulls are out there fighting for dictatorships. When they say they're against kings, and they're against dictators such as Orangey, they come to the rescue of Maduro, and they come to the rescue of the Ayatollahs. And why? Because the Ayatollahs are fighting against their arch enemy, the Israelites. And the Israelites are the worst people that ever walked the earth because they dared to even fight back and say we're going to defend ourselves against atrocities by Hamas and Hezbollah and everybody else. And since the Ayatollah turban heads support Hamas and Hezbollah and are promoting the destruction of Israel, then these idiot, moron, self-destructive, self-hating, beyond being called idiots, they're brain dead, they're vegetables, going out and protesting against the very people that want to try to make amends and say we were wrong about this Islamic regime bull crap and we want the Shah's son back. And the apple don't fall far from the tree. But if this Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah, proves to be a peacemaker, then the whole world could change and we could get out of this mess we're in. And by getting out of this mess, I mean we can avert self-destruction. Now, this guy may not be a peacemaker, he may be a charlatan. But sometimes you have to hope that once in a while a person comes along who's a Anwar Sadat, or Menachem Begin, or somebody who wants to actually promote peace. And you know what happens to those people. You know what happened to Anwar Sadat when he wanted to promote peace, but the peace between Egypt and Israel and the environments have sustained, it's still there. So his efforts weren't in vain. But will this Shah Pahlavi, who looks just like his dad, be a peacemaker? Because if he is, then the entire geopolitical structure of this planet will change, because you won't have constant war in the Middle East, and they can be free to use their resources to, enrich themselves and be a prosperous country, and everybody will be happy. That's Buddhism. But is he a peacemaker or not? Now, these Wokester idiot morons, there's no hope for them. I would say, my best advice would be something I can't say on YouTube, because your existence is useless. Because you're on the wrong side of everything. You want to promote, saving, people who have committed heinous crimes from being deported or being incarcerated, and it's like you're a victim of this stupid-ass liberal bullcrap that I've seen since my elementary school days in the 60s. This liberal crap, like, if you're a criminal, you're a victim because you had a bad upbringing. Well, people, have to get the effect of their causes. And if you say, I can't make it in this world, so I'm going to go and I'm going to mug somebody at knife point, then you're not worthy of being, you don't need any mercy. You need to be incarcerated so you learn that that's not right. Everybody struggles, but we don't all go out and create a violent encounter in order to, get out of our binds. And everybody has a different karmic, what they've gone lifetime after lifetime. And if they decide that doing evil to someone else is going to get them anywhere, they're wrong. And if people decide they're going to impede a certain force that shouldn't have to even be that forceful, if there weren't tribes that say, well, we're going to make this city safe for criminals because they're victims, then ICE could easily pick up people in the prisons, pick them up in jail and say, you're being deported because you've broken the law and you're out of here. And they don't need habeas corpus, and they don't need anything like that, because just the fact that they're in jail and they're illegal, bye. That could be happening. We wouldn't have to have these brown shirt, thugs going around trying to pick up people, and then having these idiot Wokester morons trying to impede them, and then they create a fracas, and then the ICE gets blamed. So it's going to keep going like this. It's going to get worse. But I think the Iranian regime is finally over, and I'm glad they came to their senses. And I hope Shah Reza Pahlavi II is a peacemaker, because he personally could change the whole course of history. So I'll leave it there. It's 15 minutes. I think I did a reasonably good analysis of what's going on. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.